when we limit ourselves to an idea or a point of view of what we are, in other words, limiting ourselves to be a personal identity, we have a frame of reference or context that's very narrowly defined. And for many of us, we spend our entire life living within that frame of reference or context that's narrowly defined. The personal context of being a somebody who has thoughts, a somebody who has emotional states, and a someone who has bodily sensations, and a somebody who is defined by all of those things I just described. So we see the sum total of what we are as that personal identity that is thinking, feeling, in other words, having emotional states and bodily sensations. And every movement that we make in our life is focused on those things. So our thoughts, how to organize our thoughts into a set of thoughts that will support us and make us feel comfortable. Our emotional states, how to take those emotional states and make them comfortable, give us a sense of well-being. And our bodily sensations, well, what can we say about our bodily sensations? Some of them we want to stay longer, others we want to go away forever. And some of them we don't know what to do with. And we hear all kinds of things from many different people about what to do with this personal identity. There's lots of advice given for the personal identity. So much advice, endless advice on how to make sense of all the thoughts, how to make sense of all the emotions, how to organize all the sensations so that they give us well-being and a sense of comfort and satisfaction, but don't get us in trouble. So, all of our life, when we spend our life that way, we're focused entirely on the idea of a self that exists, and a self that has the borderlands of birth and death. So those are the borderlands of a personal identity, birth and death. And in between those bookends or borderlands is something called a life. And all the life is an accumulation of all these thoughts one has had, all of the emotional states one has had, and also all the sensory experiences one has had. And that's what's called a life that is bookended by birth and death. So when most of us never hear anything other than that, no matter how long we live, we never hear that there's any possibility other than that. So never once in most lives is it ever introduced that there is anything other than that. And this entire life of a personal identity is lived within a realm of cause and effect. So, and time and space are part of that cause and effect. So the personal identity, the sensorial personal identity, is entirely limited by its perceptions of time and space, cause and effect. And this is simply what we take ourselves to be. These are belief systems and assumptions about who we are that are conventional. So throughout the world, for most people, this is the conventional assumption that this is what a human being is. And even if there is some kind of an idea introduced of what a human being is that goes beyond that, there's no way to know how to be that. So we might get an introduction to the possibility of something beyond this personal identity. But very rarely are we ever in a circumstance where there is present the key points and pivotal instructions that can unerringly direct us to living as the full evidence of something that is beyond a personal identity. So we're gathered here today in that kind of circumstance. The kind of circumstance that, if we're willing, any human being can move beyond the idea of a limited personal identity bound by space and time, life, birth, and death, and cause and effect, and realize the true reality of what a human being is. Now, all of those things that I mentioned about a human being, all those things that are the countless, ceaseless, and unpredictable experience of being a human being, all of these would not be present if it were not for awareness of them. So this is so simple, so simple. Anything that a human being, any of us, take ourselves to be, it would not be naturally present without awareness that it is. So you see, this awareness, it's the secret key. This awareness is primary in every single experience of being human. And rather than a human being or personal identity being some kind of thing or entity, some solid shape, substance that is confined and identifiable and stands between awareness and all the sensorial experiences of being human. The human being, the assumption of being a personal identity is equal to all those sensorial experiences. It's just another sensorial experience, just like any other. There never has been, there isn't now, and there never will be a personal identity, an ego, a self, or a something that needs to be reshaped, rectified, transformed, analyzed, refined, purified, or made into what it already is. All human beings, no matter who they are, everywhere on the face of the earth, can say, I am aware. There is not one among the 7 billion of us who can say, I am not aware. Even if we're unconscious, we're still aware. We're still aware. Even if we're unconscious, we're still aware. So this is the root of what a human being is, awareness. It is awareness that goes beyond cause and effect. Not that awareness transcends cause and effect, because everything we are is awareness. There's nothing that would be about us without awareness. And this awareness, rather than being imprisoned within the line of the skin, is vast as infinite space. Vast as infinite space, pure space. And all of the appearances within this awareness that is the only reality of every human being, all of the appearances within it are empty appearances. Empty appearances that have no shape. They have no shape. The shape is only assumed by the assumptions of time and space. So, we can never figure any of this out from the world of cause and effect. We can't go into our ordinary thinking and try to examine it, make sense of it, and prove that everything is an empty appearance that has no shape. All we can do is rest naturally, be totally at ease as the awareness that is primary in every appearance, every perception, every point of view. And as we do so, we naturally realize that we're beyond anything we ever dreamt imaginable. So no matter what perception arises, no matter what it can be a thought, an emotion, a sensation, a person, a place, a thing, a circumstance, no matter what the perception is that arises, be at ease, be totally at ease as the awareness that is the essence of that perception. Be at ease as the essence of that perception and repeat that for short moments many times, and it will become automatic. And if you don't know how to do that or you don't want to do it, you don't have to. You don't have to. Just keep coming back here, and it will be obvious to you that that's who you are without you doing anything. You see, what we already are doesn't need anything to make it happen. It doesn't need to be tickled or coaxed or prodded or clubbed over the head or anything else. We already are who we are. And the more easeful we become in our being, the more we realize the natural ease of our being. That ease of our natural being that is already present. So all of the appearances of awareness, rather than being an object to the subject awareness are inseparable from awareness. So when we have a perception and we rest as the awareness that is the essence of that perception, there's no separation. There's an awareness and the perception, and then them coming together. Awareness and its appearances do not come together or separate. This is a very key point. They do not come together and separate. Awareness and its appearances, awareness and its points of view, awareness and its perceptions do not come together and separate. This is just a belief system. So when we rest naturally as awareness, as the awareness that is the essence of every perception, know that there only is awareness as that perception, and that there is no awakening, enlightenment, liberation, or being the most that a human being can be that is separate or apart from any perception. So any perception that we're trying to separate out of this inseparability and saying, oh no, that perception can't be awareness. It's not good enough. It's not spiritual enough. It's not holy enough. It's not sacred enough. No, that perception of some kind of vagary of life, one of the mundane, grosser aspects of life that we've identified, that can't possibly be awareness. That can't be pure space. That can't be God. When we rest as the ease of every perception, we find that the ease of that awareness in every perception is its divinity, if we want to call it that. We don't have to, but there are many people here who have a spiritual orientation towards things. So that's the context within which it's held. We could call it divine or God or the Great Mother or anything we want to, but a name that we can call it that all human beings can understand is awareness. If we say awareness, we all know what that means, and we all know that that is evident in us. Whereas if we say God, we might think, oh, that's over there somewhere or outside us. It's very difficult for most of us to ever know that God is in us, even though we may hear over and over again that we are the image and likeness of God, that everything is the image and likeness of God. So, some of these terms, even though they're fine and we can certainly use them if we want to, rather than using the word awareness, what it comes down to is awareness. So that we would have no awareness of God without awareness. We would have no awareness of the Divine Mother without awareness through the Great Spirit or whatever we want to call it, Tara. We would have no awareness whatsoever of Buddha or anything else without awareness. So awareness is primary in every perception. And interestingly enough, when we rest as the awareness that is the only shapeless shape of every perception, then it doesn't mean we erase the perception and then we ignore it or repress it. It means we understand it in its totality. So we understand its description. All this awareness, vast as infinite space, know this is the reality of what you are. And know that all points of view that occur within the pure view of that awareness, they're inseparable from it, like the color blue is inseparable from the sky. Know that all of the points of view of your awareness are the luster of the basic space of your awareness and nothing else. They've never been separated in any way. The dynamic energy of your awareness, all the points of view of the magnificent display, the magical expression of awareness, know that to be yourself and nothing else. Don't ever be content with any other idea of yourself. It's much too limited. It's much too limited. Of course, you can be if you want to. This is what a human being is. You see, all a human being is, and know this to be true about yourself, is awareness. That's it. Awareness. Self-knowing awareness. In the human being is the only being that has self-knowing awareness. Self-knowing awareness is the means by which awareness enjoys itself. So, and self-knowing awareness, it's just so compassionate, so nothing other than loving kindness, so nothing other than bliss, so nothing other than complete wisdom that are already present. It is so nothing other than that when it appears in a human being, the human being can use that in any way they want to. The human being can use that self-knowing awareness in any way they want to. They can use it to pretend to be someone all their life who has thoughts and feelings and alternating happiness and suffering and incredible limitations based on cause and effect and living within a knot of time and space. It's entirely up to each one of us. So, self-knowing awareness is timelessly free. Timelessly free to participate in cause and effect, timelessly free to participate in a personal identity, timelessly free to have a life of suffering rather than a life of well-being and complete peace. So, this is important for us to know. Know that you're not at the whim of anything. You're not at the whim of awareness. It's not hiding out from you. It never has been. It's not some kind of thing that has power to control every aspect of your life and that you need to shape yourself to. You already are that. And when you know that you are that, the ease of that becomes more and more evident all the time. So awareness isn't something. It's not something that we get a hold of and then we've got it. Awareness is forever, timelessly, without dimension, limitation, description. Entirely timelessly, without limitation, any kind of dimension or description. So any description we came up with, like, I've got it now, I've got awareness. It's permanent, it's fully evident, I know it, and this is it. Whenever we think this is it, the next moment it's going to be, wow. Well, I guess that isn't it. But, we only do that a few times before we say, awareness is amazing. This awareness that I am is amazing. It can never be described. So I'm going to stop describing it, and I'm going to stop having this point of view. This is it. I don't even need to have this point of view. This is it to hold on to desperately. There's nothing to hold on to. Awareness isn't something to hold on to. It just simply is. The immense power and force of everything that is. And know that to be yourself. Know that to be yourself. There's never been a you other than that. Of course, if you want to pretend that you are something other than that, it's entirely up to you. No one can make you not do that. But if you are willing, just willing to know yourself as you really are, willing to place yourself in a circumstance where you can know more about who you are, then you will. It's that simple. It's really that simple.